Hey, it's Brett Gregory, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. If you're just joining us live right now, go ahead and put your questions in the questions bar. Go ahead and tell us what city and country you're tuning in from so we can give you a shout out here to our global audience. I'm Brett Gregory, and we have a great show for you today. I'm going to be introducing you to my friend Justin Livingston, who has got some incredible information for you. So if you're just joining us, just go to the questions bar and type in, tell us what city and country you're tuning in from. And so we'll give a shout out to Rashawn from Vancouver.
Rashawn's actually a friend of mine. I know him.
You know Rashawn? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, great. Welcome there, my friend. So for those of you just joining us, just go in there to the questions box and put in what city and country you're tuning in from. And I'm going to introduce, and we got Sharon from Edmonton, Vicky's from Kalamazoo, we've got Kathleen from Philadelphia, Cynthia's from Santa Cruz, hey Pam, Steve, Timothy, Jay is from Virginia, Stephanie's from Redondo Beach, Nancy, Carla, Shirley. You guys are all from all over, Rochester, Atlanta, Fort Lauderdale. Steve's from Mission Viejo. Welcome. Good to have you here with us. So it's always exciting to have our global audience and see who is tuning in from where. And I'm really excited for our talk today because I have a very special guest that I want to be introducing you to. And the man that I have a great pleasure of introducing you today is the CEO and co-founder of Lucrative Luminary Training with my friend Callan Rush. And they're a company that specializes in helping hundreds and hundreds of workshop, retreat, and seminar leaders around the globe. And he's an absolute expert in the art and science of ethical selling, marketing, conscious business building. And you know, so that's something that we have a lot in common, and I'm always excited to share knowledge with him. And in fact, he is really the go-to resource for most successful transformational leaders and conscious business owners on the planet, including myself. Pretty much, you know, when I've learned some super awesome, amazing techniques, somewhere along the line, I learned a good chunk of it from Justin. So he personally advises people like Callan Rush, my friend Bill Barron, Christian Michelson, my friend Lisa Sasevich and Eben Pagan, Jay Fassett, Ryan Eliason, Laura Langmeyer, and lots of others who you've heard of. Coaches Console founders, Melinda Cohen, and my other friends, Rich Gurman and Milana Lashinsky, and the list really just goes on and on. And he is also been involved in every single significant online launch in the transformational industry over the past 2 years, totaling more than 10 million in sales over the past 12 months alone. And as a former MMA fighter, and this is something that I find cool because I was a wrestler for a long time, and so I think it's really cool. He was a former MMA fighter, now nicknamed as the Playful Genius. Not only is he truly brilliant, but has a heart of gold, and is dedicated to fighting for the underdog and leveling the business playing field and helping heart-based entrepreneurs like you create a successful, lucrative, sustainable business that actually reaches people that you're truly meant to serve. And so I can't, you know, when you're going to spend some time with him today, you can really watch your business transform. So Justin, welcome to our program. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, yeah, my pleasure.
This is really awesome. We've got a great global audience. I'll give a shout out to a few more people. We've got Guda in Europe and Eva's Portland, and we got Steve and Shirley and Carlos. So we got a lot of people on, and it's really exciting to be here with you today. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to learn from you today.
Well, if to start off with, I'd love to share some philosophy, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to do things in 3 ways. I like to, as best I can, start off with some type of philosophy or philosophical foundation that we can then create strategies, and then, of course, at the end, at some point, some type of a tactical implementation around.
Great.
So here's the philosophy, which is my favorite part. But you know, I'll try not to spend too much time here because people want to know what they can do with it, right?
Yep.
So here's the thing when it comes to the idea of growing a business, or specifically acquiring clients in the transformation space. So whether you're a coach or a practitioner, or you know, any type of a healer, consultant in that area, like you have some type of expertise or information or experience that you're giving to others. there's really three ways that you can go about acquiring clients. And to help remember them, this is the Callanized version of my idea. He has them all begin with the letter L, and I'm going to explain each of them, and then we'll get into what we're going to do with this information. So the first L is what we call a linked client enrollment strategy. So a linked strategy, as you can imagine, is my linked meaning one thing attached to another thing. A link strategy is any time that you do something that, as you put in the energy and the effort into doing that thing, you can get the result at the same time. So an example would be, let's say as an example, Bret, that during this webinar or hangout, a popular thing to do would be to teach a bunch of stuff and then make an offer at the end.
Right.
So let's pretend that I was doing that in this case. I'm not doing that, but let's pretend that I was. That this opportunity or this hangout would be a link strategy, meaning that I'm putting in the effort and the energy right now, and I can get clients right now. A live event would be the same thing, or an online webinar, or even a launch. I have a big launch going on right now. That's a linked strategy. When while I'm putting all this energy and effort in, and we'll get some type of a result, but when the launch is over, then it's over. With me?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a linked approach. And the problem is we use a lot of linked strategies in our business. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form suggesting that they're wrong or that you shouldn't do them. However, I think it's important for people to understand that when your business is based on linked strategies alone, what happens is you end up with a very feast and famine kind of a cash flow. You end up either being cash rich or cash poor at any given time.
Right. I think a lot of us entrepreneurs can relate to that roller coaster of income.
Totally. And then what happens is that it becomes a hamster wheel, if you will, that you can't get off, because as soon as things start to let me put it this way, in the gap between your link strategy. So let's say you're doing your revenue models based on doing 4 big launches a year, as an example. Well, the time in between those launches can be stressful because the next launch needs to be a success. If it doesn't, you're in trouble.
Right.
So it becomes hard to back off and build other assets in the business. You kind of get into the trap of just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
So if you're watching us right now, and if you can relate to the roller coaster income trap that we sometimes get ourselves into as entrepreneur, write the word yes. If you can relate to the roller coaster income trap, if you felt that yourself, that feast and famine up and down, write the word yes. Randy says more than I care to remember. I get it.
I have to figure out how to write yes in here, because when let's see.
Look, we got Eva, Shirley, Vicky, Timothy. Justin did it. Hey.
The reason why I can relate is because in the first few years of our business, my business with Cal and Rush I'm talking about, we were entirely live event based. Yeah. And so it was the same. A live event is a link strategy, and we love events and we still rely on them a lot to this day. So again, it's not about saying that it's not a good thing, just to know the pros and cons, right? And the inevitability that occurs if you rely solely on those strategies. Yeah. So the second type of approach we'll just talk about just shortly, and that is what I call a lagging approach. A lagging approach is when you invest some energy and effort now and ongoing. So you're going to do something repeatedly over time with the hope and the desire to get a result in the future. So an example of that would be blogging is a common lagging methodology. YouTube videos, podcasting, these video blogging, stuff like that. So again, not to say that there's anything wrong with those at all. Those have huge potential long-term for building platforms. But I never recommend for people to start there because it causes a lot of anxiety in the meantime. Unless you have large reserves available to try to cheat the curve, so to speak, your you're making things inherently more stressful for yourself over time.
I really I appreciate that a lot, because I think a lot of people, at least I've never articulated the way that you just articulated, and I love that you did. And I'd love to hear from you as you're watching this. Is what approach have you tried in the past, or what approach are you currently taking?
Yeah.
Are you currently taking the linked approach, that roller coaster income, or are you taking the long-term kind of lagged approach right now there? Just go to the questions box and tell us what approach you're currently taking and what has worked for you in the past.
Yeah, great. So the idea of lagging approaches, we're how many years into our business? I think 8 years. We don't quite do 10 million a year, but pretty close. So
wow,
we're a decently established business.
You're very established.
Only now are we starting to implement lagging approaches.
Wow.
So yeah, just to put that into perspective. So the leading, lagging, and then linked and lagging, and then the third one is what we call a leading approach, leading strategies. So leading strategies are when you get results now and ongoing for energy and effort that you invested in the past.
Oh, wow.
So an example, there's a few different examples of that, but the idea is that they don't. A leading approach doesn't quite have the home run potential as far as the perception in the marketplace, like a linked strategy has, like a live event or a launch, where it seemingly has this kind of, as far the market looks at something and thinks that there's this overnight sensation, which of course isn't true, but it looks that way.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't necessarily have the grandiose platform potential that some lagging strategies have. Like if you hit a completely home run with a podcast or YouTube channel over time, over 6, 7, 8 years, then that can establish a huge platform and celebrity and all of that. But what the advantage though of the leading strategy is that depending at so any transformation leader, Bret, is in one of two places. Actually, this would be a good thing to ask the group which of these two camps they're in or that they can relate to. Either, let's say camp A or team A. We'll call them team lifestyle. How about that?
Yep.
The team lifestyle has a gift or a message or a skill or something they want to help other people with. But first and foremost, their own lifestyle, how they spend their time, who they spend their time with. For lots of time, it's their family. Maybe they have children, that type of thing. And their health. Those things are the top priority. So it's not about, they're not necessarily totally motivated by building this big multi-million-dollar business and having clients all over the world and all that, and some form of celebrity. They're not necessarily motivated by that. They're more motivated by, their own lifestyle, so to speak. So that's team A, which usually means for those people, they're looking to build something a little more relatively conservative as far as the scale of their business goes. Then you have, let's say, team empire. So this would be someone, this is how I see myself. It's not that I don't like my lifestyle and all those and like spending time with people I love and stuff. Of course I do. But I'm primarily driven by scale of impact. Like I want to serve people all over the globe. I want to have a team of, our team already is over 20 people, but I'd love to have a company that has 50, 60 people in it. More, I'd like to have multiple companies. I want to, so I'm driven by this idea of scale and impact. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm taking notes and I'm chatting them in the webinar here.
Okay. So people can be in whichever camp they choose. Of course, that's what I mean. It's not about one being right or wrong. It's about we're all here to do what we're all here to do, right?
Yeah. So tell us, which camp are you in? Are you team lifestyle or are you team empire?
Team Empire. I like the new names. I just came up with them on the spot. I think it's great.
This is not like the Empire Strikes Back. This is meaning you want to have the biggest impact and help the most number of people. That's team empire. Or your team lifestyle. You want to have more time, money, and freedom to spend with your family and that sort of thing.
So here's my my recommendation. Seems like mostly lifestyle, which would have been my anticipation for sure. Excuse me.
Yeah, we got Jill's lifestyle,
Oh,
Ray's
we got some
empire.
empires.
Got some empire. Sharon's empire, Randy's lifestyle, Stephanie's lifestyle, Michael's lifestyle, Kathleen team lifestyle, Eva's empire. So yeah, there's a mix.
There's
Jacqueline's
a
lifestyle.
good mix, yeah. Okay, so here's my recommendations. Here's why I think it's good to have that clarity. If you're in the team lifestyle, of those 3 strategies I shared, there's only one that you can develop without stress and anxiety. The linked model is inherently stressful. I don't know of anyone who does like online launches as an example or live events that doesn't find them stressful.
I am doing a live event right now, and let me tell you, it's stressful. We've got 150 people coming next week, and there are a lot of moving pieces.
A lot of moving parts. And I don't know if this has happened for you, it's happened for us. When you do a live event that doesn't go according to plan, then things get dicey. Or one time we did an online launch back in 2014. All of the launches that we've done have been really successful, like 1 million or more, except for one. We had one that was a total tank, and you better believe that. Well, if our model was exclusively built on launches, that would have put a tremendous amount of stress onto our company. As it turns out, it didn't, and I'll get to that in a moment. But so if you're the lifestyle entrepreneur, the leading strategy is where it's at. What you want to do is you want to get to what I call your choice point. This is going to be applicable for either team, but anyway, a choice point is, well, Bret, the idea of the concept of financial freedom, right?
Yep, absolutely.
As a concept, it means that whatever your lifestyle is, if that's X amount of dollars a month to fuel a certain lifestyle, that you have at least that amount of money or more coming in. That's what they call passive. Like, you don't do anything, you get that money. That's called financial freedom.
Right.
Well, what I want for people in their business, and what is a totally doable, but I think people don't tend to think of it in these terms, is to take that concept and apply it to your client acquisition. So as team lifestyle, someone has a message or a technology or something that you're looking to serve in some way of serving other people, where your actual passion is. Imagine if you could focus 100% of your time, at least your work time, doing that thing.
That's ideal.
That would be awesome. But so now a lot of people would just think, well, that's a pipe dream, or it's hype, or it's whatever, or it's a cliche. I respect that viewpoint, but as it turns out, it's not true. All that takes to be able to achieve that, it just means that whatever your methodologies are for acquiring clients have to exist without your time and attention and effort.
And can you, or maybe you're leading up to this, but could you give a leading strategy example or another leading strategy example?
Yeah, my favorite leading strategy specifically for transformation leaders is what I call an optimized webinar sequence, which I'm going to talk about in a bit.
Got it.
It's a program that I'm doing a launch for right now. Well, I'll walk people through the gist of it.
Great. Optimized webinar example, and that's what that's what we're going to be talking about.
It's just a process that runs. Like we make millions of dollars per year, and have thousands of new clients coming into our business every year through this process that I haven't touched and Callan hasn't touched in years. Like, it doesn't involve any of our active engagement at all.
That's awesome. So
it's completely automated. It's completely passive. So
automated, optimized webinar strategy.
So we'll get to that in a bit. But anyway, there's other examples too. I'm not saying everyone has to create one of those necessarily. I just happen to think in this space specifically is the best way to do it. But anyway, so if you're on team lifestyle, focus on a leading strategy. Now, let's talk about team empire. To create an empire, you need to do all three. None of those alone are going to give you what you want. You have to have the leading, the linked, and the lagging strategies over time. Well, now, goodness, that seems overwhelming. Like, are you kidding me? I have to do launches. I have to do live events. I have to do evergreen things. I got to do optimized webinar sequence. I have to create a podcast. I got to do YouTube. Oh, are you kidding me? It's way too much. Well, unfortunately, the answer is yes. You do have to do all that stuff. But here's the thing. If you start, imagine what it would mean and how easy it would be if by starting with a leading strategy, you reach that, what I call a choice point. Your choice point is when your base need for client acquisition is handled on autopilot. So let's say you have a program that's $1,000, Bret. And let's say it costs you $8,000. Let's say, just use round numbers. Let's say it costs you $10,000 a month just to keep the doors of your business open. So maybe you've got a couple of staff and an office, whatever it is. It costs you $10,000 a month to run your business. And you've got this program that you sell for $1,000. Well, if you can sell 10 of those a month without having to lift a finger, you don't do anything. You could be in Costa Rica. I know you like to spend time there.
Yep.
So you could be there for a month at a time, let's say. And during that month, you still, that $10,000 of revenue still came in through those 10 clients buying a $1,000 product.
Yeah, that's
okay,
awesome.
You with me?
Yep, definitely.
So don't worry about the how for now, but let's just pretend that's a reality. Well, what that does for you in your business is that brings you to what I call a choice point. Now, every single thing that you add to your business or that you build, whether or not you want to do a live event or you want to do a launch, you want to start a podcast, whatever it is you're going to do next, is pure choice. It's because you want to do it, not because there's some pressure for it to be successful. There's no anxiety associated with it. There's no, what's the word?
Well, you're not on the roller coaster.
There's no desperation.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And that's, I love what you're talking about, because I always tell people in the beginning when we're starting off our business that we got to have cash flow. We have to have those customers coming in, and there are multiple ways to do it. And I love your automation strategy of how do you have that basic initial cash flow coming in that's going to meet all of your basic necessities for your business. And that just gives you so much freedom and so many options and choice to build your business the way that you want to build it.
Totally. I'll give you a great example, Bret. So back in the fall of 2013, Callan and I did our first big online launch. We had, I think, 70 different JV partners all promoting us at the same time. And we did $1.2 million in sales in a 19-day period.
That's amazing.
First ever launch. And that was most people's reaction, was like, wow, amazing. How the heck? Like, and as far as most people knew in the marketplace, we just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
However, the reality is that I spent 14 months, yes, more than an entire year, 14 months planning and building that launch and creating the relationships with the promotional partners.
And I think this is so great for people to hear. Because a lot of people, when they see a successful launch, they have no idea how much preparation went in.
Totally.
And to understand that you did more than a year's worth of preparation to get those kind of results gives you a sense of perspective. You can't just come in and put it together in 30 days and expect to do $1 million launch. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So then, so my next question to you would be, well, who the heck has time? Who in their business right now could spend 14 months doing nothing but planning and designing a launch?
Yeah, that's
nobody.
Right.
The only reason that I could do that is because we were already doing a little over $1 million on autopilot.
Wow. That's amazing.
The base need of our client acquisition, the doors of my business were left open with, I could have been, on the moon. I could have been with you in Costa Rica. I could have been anywhere, and my business would have been just fine.
Well, you should definitely come down to Costa Rica with us sometime.
I know. I should. So my point is that the designing that launch was my choice. It was my choice to spend 14 months to make sure that our very first launch was a total home run. There was no necessity to that. I didn't need to do it. It wasn't, there was no desperation there. There was no necessity. It didn't, it was my choice. That's the point. So for those of you that are in Team Empire, I highly encourage you to get that baseline first. Get a leading strategy in place to get to that choice point where now it's up to you. It's your choice as to whether or not you do launches next or podcast or whatever. And without that desperation, you don't need to, there's just no anxiety that goes into the creation of whatever you decide is next.
That's awesome.
That's the philosophy part.
Yeah, well, I really love that. And, for the people who need, all businesses need cash flow, all businesses need customers. And there's no better way than to automate that. If you can automate that base need and get that first $10,000 a month taken care of, that allows you to do so many things. That gives you money to run ads. That gives you money to launch your book. That gives you money to travel to live events, to go speak on other stages, to build whatever other kind of business model you want. Live and work from anywhere, which I'm pretty big on. I mean, that's awesome.
Totally. And for those of you, again, that are in the lifestyle camp, that's what's going to allow you to, it allows you to make the choice then to only be doing any work of any kind whenever you want. There's no pressure or necessity for you to do anything more than that. It becomes choice at that point, which again, I'm all about getting to that choice point. As soon as you have that, it just changes everything.
Awesome.
So, okay, so that's the philosophy part. So now let's talk strategy. How do we get there? Well, particularly with regards to in the transformation space for transformation leaders, I like to rely heavily on the best, what I call conversion mechanisms. It's a fancy word, but anyway, the best tool that you can use for taking a potential client and converting them to a paying client is a webinar. Now, I say a webinar in a general sense, like this could be considered a webinar, in my view.
Yeah, I would consider this a webinar.
Yeah, even though technically it's a Google Hangout or whatever, you can, and
Sure.
The webinars can be live, they can be automated or recorded. It can look different ways.
So I want to see, let's just do a shout out. If you do webinars or you have done webinars, just write the word yes. If you do webinars or have done webinars, write the word yes. I just want to see who else out there is doing webinars or has done webinars. So Colleen is definitely doing webinars. Sandy's doing webinars. Kara's doing webinars. Okay, Michael, not yet. Oh, and thank you for letting me know. If you haven't done one yet, Go ahead and write not yet, like Michael. Eva, Linda, Sharon. Linda's planning to. Jill, Carlos, Joseph, Kathleen. Okay, good. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, great. That's a surprise. There's a lot that have already. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, now, but one thing to point out, though, is a webinar a leading strategy or a linked strategy?
Great question.
Typically, it's linked. It's like this right now. We're putting in the energy and effort right now. Well, of course, I'm not going to make an offer here, so I'm not. This is not the most effective of linked strategies. But if I was going to, that would be what it was. So we want to take this concept of the power of an intimate presentation like this and create a leading strategy out of it. So back in 2012, I designed a process that I call an optimized webinar sequence, and the hub of it is an automated webinar, which technically I have taught other people how to do this, and some people prefer to keep their webinars live. That's totally cool. The process, what I'm going to share with you today, still totally applies to live webinars too. But for the sake of explanation of this idea of a leading strategy, we'll suggest that the webinars are automated. So we've got this thing called a webinar, but then what we want to do is, to take a purely strategic approach, is to mitigate all of the weaknesses that a webinar has. So if a webinar were to not work, why would that be? Well, let's consider, really it comes down to there's five things. Webinars, you have to get people registered for them. If you only get 4 people registered for a webinar, it's going to be pretty hard for that thing to be a real success for your business. So we need to maximize the number of people that register for that webinar. The second thing is once they register, they got to actually show up. I saw recently, Bret, you were sharing in a group where you did a webinar that had over 50%, more than 50% of the people show up.
Yeah, which was incredible.
That's amazing.
That was amazing.
Because you shared in that post that typically people are seeing 20% or less.
Yeah, or less. Yeah.
About 18%, I think, now is what a lot of people.
Right, that's what we're seeing.
We consistently do over 40. So I'd love to say that I'm a Bret Gregory and I can do over 50, but usually that's not the case. Ours tends to be around 42, 43%.
Well, and full disclosure, that was my automated webinar.
Right.
So
automated webinars have better show-up rates.
Yeah, they have way better show-up rates.
It's one of the reasons why I prefer them. Yeah.
Super excited about that.
Yeah, in case anyone's confused by that, the reason why an automated webinar has a better show-up rate is because people get to choose the date and time that works for their schedule. When you're doing a live webinar, it's hit and miss. So a lot of people end up registering with the anticipation of getting the recording or the replay. That's why they don't show up.
And this is great. So this is live right now. So everybody who's just writing, Meritus and even Robin, so you can see that this is live right now. But one thing that is challenging about the live webinar is you have to be available at that specific time. So somebody else had told me the same thing. Oh my gosh, my automated webinars have much higher show-up rates, and I didn't put it together of how that could be, but exactly like you just explained, the reason why is because when somebody registers, they can watch it right there on the spot, or they can choose when it's convenient to them. They don't have to wait until the actual live moment, which they may not be available for.
Exactly.
So, yeah, literally, we normally we get around 20% of people showing up, but on this automated one that we did, we got over 50% of people to show up and show up like immediately, and then another 17 people caught the replay again because it was convenient at their convenience. So we had 67% of people saw the webinar when normally the automated webinar, when normally only 20% see the live webinar. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. So where were we? Okay, so yeah, we got to maximize the registrants and the show up. Once they show up, we need them to stick around to the end where you make your offer.
Yep.
Of course, we want to maximize the conversion at the point of offer. And then there's a big one that people don't think about when it comes to webinars, is the follow-up. For most everyone, they do a live webinar, or what I call a one-off webinar. And then when the webinar is over, the follow-up sequence includes sending them the replay, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a huge opportunity there that people are missing out on. There's an opportunity for optimization with regards to what you do after the webinar. And one of the keys, or one of the advantages of an automated webinar sequence, is that you can segment or differentiate people based on how they engaged with the webinar. Meaning, you can tailor communications to decide what, or specifically for people that show up versus people that don't. And even for the people that showed up, you can differentiate those that saw the offer or those that left early. So there's a lot of
that's huge.
That's huge.
If you think about it, you should send a different message. Let's say someone registered to your webinar and they showed up, but they only stuck around for a short period of time. They only stuck around for the first 10 minutes versus somebody who registered and they didn't show up, and you want to get them to the replay. They should get 2 different emails. And one should be, hey, you missed the last part of the webinar, come back. The other one should be, hey, time to catch the replay, for example. And that can make a massive difference if you can simply tailor that communication.
Yeah, perfect. So there's these 5 areas of optimization: registrations, show-ups, stay through, conversion, and follow-up. So in a few moments here, I'm going to give you access to, or Bret's going to give you a link where you're going to get tons of resources and information. I'm going to show you exactly how you can optimize each of these areas of optimization, how you can maximize each area. However, I want to focus on one specifically in the time we have remaining here, because this is one of the ones that's super counterintuitive, very easy to implement, and will make a huge and profound difference on your webinars, whether they're live or automated. Are you ready?
So this is the time to take notes, everybody.
Yes. So we talked about the philosophy. We've talked about the strategic approach, this creating an optimized webinar sequence as opposed to just doing one-off webinars. And now we're down to the tactics. Here's a tactical approach that you could implement very quickly. So it's I don't know if embarrassing is the right word, but it's kind of funny because this technique I actually stumbled across totally by accident. It was a mistake I made in creating a page, and I realized it a couple days later, and then I saw the result and was like, whoa, like that can't be right. So then I kept doing tests, and turns out, yeah, this
my biggest successes have all come from mistakes, without a doubt.
That's cool. Yeah, I was sharing. We put out a video recently, and Callan and I did, and I was telling the story of when I came to this realization, and I had this data. I went into a popular Facebook group that has a bunch of high-level marketers in it and stuff. And I said, "Oh my goodness, you won't believe it! Look at this data." And this guy who was like the known authority of teaching about webinars and stuff like that, he got mad at me. He's like, "That's not true. Like that there's no way that data's true." And then we got into a little bit of a fight. I was like, "What the heck? Why is this guy so mad at me?" And then you fast forward a little bit. Now, not only are there tons of people utilizing this technique, but there's actually other people teaching this technique, and which is, of course, a cool form of flattery. But
sure.
So here's the concept. What I'm going to show you is a technique that is one way that you can maximize the first area of optimization that we talked about, and that's your registrations. How do you maximize registrations for your webinar? Well, one of the techniques that you can do, which I'm about to show you, is to take your registration process, which would normally be sending people a message, some communication, could be an email, could be a Facebook ad. Let's say Facebook ad for just simplicity of concept and argument. And the Facebook ad would say, "Hey, I've got this webinar, click through," or whatever. And they click on it and they go to a webinar registration page and they register, or they don't. Simple, yeah? Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is that instead of doing that, you take your registration process and you make it 2 steps. So what we do is, instead of, let's say if we're doing a Facebook ad, the Facebook ad does not say anything about a webinar. It does not promise a webinar. It's going to promise something a lot more instantly gratifying, something that they can either consume or use in real time, right now, instant gratification, what I call a hook. So the Facebook ad will promise a hook. People click through to sign up for that, whatever the gift is, whatever the hook is. I'll give you some examples here in a moment. And then only if and when they opt in for that thing do they then get redirected to the webinar registration page. Now, I'm going to show you some examples here. So if you're not quite visualizing it, don't worry. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you 4 examples that we use in our business. But if at the very least, if you're thinking, well, goodness, how does that make any sense? How would making it be 2 steps actually improve things? Well, let's say in the case of a Facebook ad alone, as an example, as Bret will know this all too well, that the more instantly gratifying the promise of a Facebook ad is, the way more often it gets clicked, liked, commented, and shared. So the volume of click-throughs from an ad that's promising something that's instantly gratifying is way more than if it's promising a webinar.
Oh yeah.
Way, like many multitudes more.
Yeah, we see 3 times more. See, we have 300% more, maybe even 500% more if we're driving traffic directly to a webinar. You know, and let's say this somebody on Facebook that's never heard of us before. So we call that cold traffic.
Yeah.
We might get, you know, only 20% of the people will actually register. and the cost to get one person to register might be $12.
Yep.
And then only 20% of those people show up. So the actual cost to get just one person, cold traffic, directly to a webinar is actually $60.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's totally crazy.
So back when I first stumbled across this, at the time, we were paying $8 per webinar registrant, sending them straight to the webinar.
Yeah.
It would be more than that now, but this is a few years ago, right?
Yeah, $12 now.
Yeah, probably. So, but we were getting people opting in for hooks for like $1.50.
Right.
Let's say $2 just to make it, just to
Sure.
round it up to make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, for every $1, we're getting 4 times as many people engaged. And then once they go through to the webinar registration page, 35 to 40% of those people, let's just say 1 in 3 to make the math simple.
Mm-hmm.
1 in 3 would sign up for the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's costing me $2, which it wasn't, but let's say it was costing me $2 to get someone to opt in,
mm-hmm.
and 1 out of every 3 of those is registering for the webinar.
Yep.
I apologize, I'm forcing you to do math here, but what's it costing me now to get someone registered for the webinar?
$6.
$6. So
instead
it went
of 12
down to 6. Well, at the time it was 8 down to 6.
Right. But it's and that math is it's only better today because the cost to get one person to register for a webinar the old way has gone up significantly.
Yep. Oh, good. Eve got the math right there. 6, yeah.
You
so
got
8 down to 6, which you may think, well, what big deal? So you save $2. Well, when you're saving $2 per webinar registrant at scale, I mean, this was bringing in an extra $20,000 to $25,000 per month into my business.
That's huge.
Just
absolutely
this
huge.
is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough of the theory behind it. I think it would be great if I show them a few examples. What do you say?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay. So give me a second here to share my screen.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I have to press this blue button, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you should be seeing it now, yeah?
I do see a black. Oh, there we go. I see it. We see your screen.
And do you also see my mouse twirling around?
I sure do.
Yay. Okay.
And
technology.
And Eve asked, do you think Facebook will catch on to that? Well, in this instance, Eve, it really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Because Facebook just wants your money in terms of Facebook ad spend. They don't care whether you're driving traffic to a lead magnet or a hook, as Justin mentioned, or direct to a webinar. They don't care. So it really doesn't matter in this instance if Facebook catches on to it or not.
Yeah, and I mean, we're fulfilling on the promise made in the ad, so it's fine. So here's an example. So here's a report. This beautiful woman here on the right is my business partner, Kellen Rush.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. Mm-hmm. And so here's a report that she wrote called the Live Event Revolution. So what we do is we can create a Facebook ad as an example that promises the Live Event Revolution report and sends people to this page to opt in to get it. Well, as you'll notice, as soon as I hit this button here, a little thing pops up and I can put in an email address there that's clever. And I'm going to click this button here. And this is going to send an email to my inbox, of course, delivering the Live Event Revolution. So let's click the button there and you'll see what happens next. It's going to be slow here.
It's slow because we got so many people on the webinar. And so just to recap, everybody, the new paradigm that Justin is showing you here is step 1. Instead of driving people directly to register to the webinar, which is kind of the old traditional model, step 1, drive them to that hook, that lead magnet. And then step 2 is say, thank you. And here we are on step 2. Now you have a great opportunity to register for this webinar. And this is where you're getting these great results.
Yeah, so there's a couple, to make this work, there's a couple of subtleties here. If you don't do these, the whole thing flops. So you want to be careful. So the first thing you'll notice is up at the top here, the headline is not, it's not salesy, it's not anything other than to let the viewer know that the item that they requested has already been sent to them. Because otherwise you want to be really careful because you don't want to run the risk of confusing people. Otherwise, people get really upset. They just, the people that are coming through this, they just requested this live event revolution. If they just ended on a normal webinar registration page, they'd be either upset or at the very least confused.
Mm-hmm.
So you want that visually, the very first thing they see to be that a reassurance.
That acknowledgement that they did, in fact, they're going to get what they registered for.
Yes, that's already been sent to their inbox. Secondly, we always use a video on this page. So you can see, I turned the volume off, so it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be hearing Callan and me and Bret, but had you listened to the video, you would notice, and why it's important to use video, again, is to really hammer this point home. The very first thing that Callan says in the video, that's on autoplay, by the way, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing she says is, thank you so much for requesting the Live Event Revolution report. It's already been sent to your inbox. That's critical, that's how the video starts. From there, she starts talking about the webinar, and it's, even though you can see her, you know, her body language is very animated and stuff, which tends to be her style. The proposition here is really very simple. There's not much need to really oversell or hype the webinar at all, because it's basically it's more of the same of what they already asked for. You know, the giveaway is totally in alignment with this. So she says, you know, hey, thanks for requesting my live event revolution. It's already in your inbox. Of course, I'm going to share with you some of the things that are, you know, working and not working for transformation leaders. And specifically, we're talking about the use of live events and what's working and what isn't. I happen to be doing a webinar upcoming that's specifically about how to fill events. So why don't you just go ahead and check the calendar by clicking the button to the right there. If it, you know, if the date and time works for you, by all means, get yourself registered, and I look forward to serving you on the webinar.
That's awesome.
Very simple, very straightforward. And you'll see if I click this button here, a little thing pops up where I can pick a date and time and whatever, sign up for the webinar.
Awesome.
So let me pause that video. So I went from the live event revolution to the thank you page. So then once you have this, part of the idea of scaling this out is we just keep building more hooks or giveaways on the front end. So here's another one. So this one's actually our most effective one. It's a book that Callan wrote called Wealth Through Workshops.
I recognize this one.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people download this book.
It's awesome.
And so it's what's the subtitle is Your Step-by-Step Guide to Creating a Life-Changing, Lucrative Workshop, Retreat, and Seminar Business. So it's basically a how-to, right? Here's how to build a workshop business.
And Shirley is asking, is this a lead page?
I don't know. It's either a lead page or a ClickFunnels. If it isn't lead page, it totally could be. So if you have lead pages, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We use both, so I don't know from one to the next.
Sure. The layout is very, you can build this exact layout in either program.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So check this out. I click this button. So this I think you'll find interesting. So I request the book, and you'll notice that the webinar registration page for this looks eerily similar, but it's not identical. You might notice Callan's wearing a different shirt. That's not important, but what is important is that in this case, the headline refers specifically to the Wealth Through Workshops book, not the Live Event Revolution. Just more intimate, right? And the reason why we use a different video on this page, for the most part, the video is exactly the same. It's just at the beginning, Callan says, thank you so much for requesting my book, Wealth Through Workshops. It's already been sent to your inbox. So
awesome.
Just to make it totally specific to what it is that they asked for. Make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. I think those subtleties are very critical. I was taking notes, as I'm sure all of you are, and I'm just going to pop them into the chat box because I think it's so valuable. Those little keys that you're doing can really, they add up. They can make a big impact and a big difference in your results. Totally.
And in the case of the headline and the video, because I've tested this without those elements, and the whole thing breaks down because people just get mad. Like I said, either upset or confused, and then the conversions just aren't there.
Yeah.
So those two pieces are critical to the success of this particular tactic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great.
Here's another example, what we call our event filling blueprint. And again, same thing. If I click on here and opt in, it goes to another version. But check out this one. This is the one that I find the most hilarious. And this is the one that I stumbled on that started the whole thing. This is the one I did by mistake. Check this out. If I go back to the webinar registration page, what's the name of the webinar? Fill your workshops with ease. Avoid the 3 massive mistakes workshop leaders make that keep their event rooms empty. Well, take a look at this report. Fill your workshops with ease. Avoid the 3 massive mistakes workshop leaders make that keep their event rooms empty. So this report is actually a transcript of the webinar.
Oh, wow.
And so in this case, the giveaway that they get upon opting in is exactly the same information as what's on the webinar. And this one actually has the highest conversion of opt-ins for the report that actually that also register for the webinar. This one's not our best overall hook for opt-ins. This one is, or it was this one. This one is our best hook. We get the most opt-ins for this. But as far as the ratio of people that do opt-in that also jump on the webinar, it's close to half, close to 50% when we use this one. And the proposition on the webinar registration page app that follows this page is really quite simple. It's the video just says of Callan. She's just saying, hey, thank you so much for requesting my report. Fill your workshops with these, where I'm sharing the 3 massive mistakes that workshop leaders make that keep their event rooms empty. That's already been sent to your inbox. So it'll be there waiting for you the next time you log into your email. Hey, just a quick heads up. I happen to be doing a webinar on the exact same topic. And then all she says is, hey, on the webinar, I can I share a few more visuals and come at a few of the concepts from a slightly different angle. It'll really deepen your comprehension of the material. Hey, go ahead and check the webinar schedule. If one of them fits, if one of the date and times fits your schedule, by all means, get yourself registered, and I'd love to serve you on the webinar. Until then, be brilliant.
That is awesome.
And that's it.
That is awesome.
And it converts like crazy.
That is so cool. Wow. So this is really awesome. So I hope I've been taking diligent notes. I've pasted all my notes in the chats for everybody there. I hope you guys are getting this, because this is real gold. And so let me just see if I could summarize as best I can.
Yeah, please do.
For those of you who are building your business, I mean, everybody needs cash flow. And if we can cover our bases in our business, and I'm just going to use the round number, $10,000 a month. So if you can get that first $10,000 a month coming in, that allows you the freedom to do just about everything else. And so what Justin is telling you right now is how to create that $10,000 a month in an automated fashion using, while these are kind of the latest and greatest webinar techniques that are working right now, when you really boil them down, they're pretty straightforward. It's step 1, download your lead magnet. Step 2, invite them to a webinar that you pre-recorded. I mean, that's really what's going on here. And on that webinar, that's where you're making the offer to sell something. And again, if you can sell your product at $1,000, you only need 10 of those a month to actually yield that. And again, don't worry about all the details of how that happens. That's Justin he's actually going to make you a offer right now to show you how you can learn a lot more about that and go deeper to see how you can actually do that with the handout that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, cool. I'll just quickly say what it is if you want, and then you can
please
get
do
to whatever you want to get to. I mentioned that Callan and I are in the middle of a launch right now. So we have a program called Maximize Your Impact, where we teach people how to create these things. I don't want you to even worry about that for now, because don't worry about that for now. Because this launch that we're doing, the goal that Callan and I have is to share the entire thing. Like, the idea is that people should be able to go through all of the content that we've been giving out over the last week, and we'll give out over the next week or so. And if they so desire, be able to create one of these one of these machines for themselves and get to that choice point on their own. True, we do have a program, but our goal is to make people's choice, whether or not they join that program, purely one of convenience. Like, do they want to have us hold their hand through the process for whatever reason to make it a little quicker or easier or whatever? If so, by all means, happy to have you. But if not, that's totally cool too. We want to completely set you up to do it entirely on your own if you choose. So, I think you've got a URL ready for them, right, Bret?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Go
ahead.
Explain what it is.
Yeah.
So at this URL, it'll take you to an opt-in page. It's going to have you opt in for a document that shows you basically what I was just showing you here, our registration process, what we call our webinar filling blueprint.
And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my screen real quick so they can see what we're about to give them.
Perfect. So this will be what the page looks like. But once you opt in, though, there's going to be much more than that on the other side. So far, we've distributed what we call the evolution of influence, or sorry, the evolution of enrollment, which is an ebook that I wrote where I go into more detail about the 3 L's, leading, lagging, and linked, I was talking about earlier. We've got what we call Wealth Through Webinars, which is a document that shows you the map, so to speak, of an optimized webinar sequence. We've got the registration process, and we've also got what we call the Webinars Made Easy technology guide, or our resource guide. If you scroll down a bit, Bret.
And so I opted in. Is this you want me to scroll down on this? Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so the one I'm talking about right now is the gray one there, called
this one, Webinars Made Easy.
Guide. Yeah, so there's 4 resources for you there already. There's 2 here, but if you scroll up and click on video 1, there's 2 more resources below that.
Okay.
Full training videos here telling you exactly how to use these. And then on Friday, we'll be releasing another video and a third piece of content, which is going through all 5 of those areas of optimization I talked about, whether it's your registration, your show-up rate, your stay-through rate, your conversion, and your follow-up. We're going to go into each of those 5 areas and show you more cool tactics, just like this one I shared today, that you can use right away to make your webinar processes a lot more effective and attract a lot more clients.
This is super awesome, and now I'll give you that one technique that many of you who are on here who know me well, you've seen this quite a few times before. But Justin gave you some amazing tactics and techniques on how you can automate your webinars and how you can really improve your results. This is how we do it in terms of improving your results significantly with your Facebook ads. So I'm going to give everybody a great opportunity right now to get some free exposure here with a Facebook ad that we're about to run. Actually, I just started running it a few hours ago, and it's already reached quite a few people. So all you do is go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/like-Bret. And for those of you who know, if you're seeing this for the first time, I'll explain it, but some of you have seen me do this many times before. And what we're doing here is we're going to give you the opportunity to get seen by 500,000 entrepreneurs. So this post, so you can see there's Justin and me. It's this black and white post. It's pinned to the top of my page, so you can't miss it. And it says, OWS, Wealth Through Webinars. Go to this post and tell us actually make a comment. And I'm sorry, you know what? I skipped a step here. Do me a favor. If you've gotten value out of what we just taught you, out of what Justin just taught you, please write the word value in the questions box. I totally skipped that step. If you've gotten value out of what we have, what Justin has shared with you, write the word value in the Webinar Jam questions box right now. Then step 2, go to the link, which is my Facebook page, facebook.com/Bret, and write in a little bit about the value that you just learned. So Linda says value, Sharon, Kara, Joseph, Vicky, Eve, Michael, everybody's saying value. You guys totally rock. So
Thank you.
Yeah, you're totally awesome. Everybody's loving it. Shirley, Robin, So then step 2, go to the Facebook page and write a quick little comment, and then be sure to click the share button. Now, it is critical that you click the share button. And for those of you who know me, you know that I teach this. And when we're talking about Facebook marketing, I definitely, it's awesome if you click the like button. You can give us a like or a love, whatever you want. And that's awesome. And about 2 other people will see it if you do that, which is great. Give us a comment and maybe 10 other people will see it. Click the share button and 200 other people will see it. So the share button is definitely the king when it comes to growing your business on Facebook and word of mouth marketing. Now, it would be self-serving of me to say, hey, why don't you just go share our post and not give anything back? Well, hopefully, first off, we've delivered you enough value that's worth clicking the share button. Hopefully, we've done that. But what I'm going to offer you even more is if you go and write a comment and click the share button. So, tell us what value you've learned from Justin today. And so just go ahead and write the comment and then click the share button. And what happens is when you do that, I'm going to see who actually clicked the share button, because I can click here and I can see who clicks it. So Damon Sweeney and you're awesome. When you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a comment on your share. So I'm going to say, you rock, Damon Sweeney. And what that does, and Vicky did the same, and what that does is more people are going to see you. We're gonna advertise this to 500,000 business owners and entrepreneurs. And the people who click the share button are actually going to get more visibility. More people are going to see you. So I'm offering a chance for you to get seen by 500,000 business owners and entrepreneurs for free. All you got to do is click the share button on this post and make a quick comment. That's it. So Jay Hiller is going to get seen by 500,000 people there, 500,000 entrepreneurs, Sandy Moyniz, and all the others. So just go ahead and you can see 31 people have already clicked on it. So this is growing rapidly. And thank you all, by the way, for doing this. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to get this seen. We're going to spend $1,000 on this ad and get as many people to see this ad and consequently see you and the comments you made and the share you made. So thank you all for doing that. And I'll post it one more time. So go to our Facebook page and do that there. And of course, then the thing that you want to do is you want to click on this. When you click on this, it's going to take you to this page. So this is where you actually want, this is the free gift that Justin is offering to you, the free blueprint showing you how to double your webinar signups. And then on the inside, crazy value here on the ebook, the evolution of enrollment, wealth through webinars. And the content that Justin teaches is so incredibly valuable. I mean, I would say, I know people have paid $24,000 to see the value that you're giving here. So this is amazing. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, Justin.
Yeah, my pleasure. One of the things, just to, there's a lot of chatter amongst a lot of our partners and stuff. Greg, you probably have seen it in some of the Facebook groups, where in video number 1 specifically, at about 6.5 minutes in, there's a segment of that video that has everyone in our space talking. So I'd love, there's controls on the video. So I recommend you watch the whole video, but if you want to skip ahead to 6.5 minutes in, you go ahead and do that. Of course, I encourage you to watch the whole thing, but at 6.5 in, there's a segment that is, we took a bit of a risk, and but it's really paying off. People are going crazy for it. So
well, when I was there, you could see 479 people have already commented on it. And so when you watch this video, wait till you get to minute 6.5 and see what Justin's talking about there, and then tell us about it in this specific comment. That's going to be really hot, really awesome. So Justin, wow, man, thank you. This has been incredible value.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I really appreciate it. I mean, everybody on the webinar said thank you, and we appreciate it. And yeah, you guys you're totally awesome. So thank you so much for coming on and being here with us. So what's next for you? What's the big thing that you're taking across the finish line here next week?
Yeah. Sorry, I got a bit distracted. I was trying
That's
to
okay.
reply to comments. It's so fun. What's the big thing for me? You know what? Well, we're in the middle of a launch here, as I mentioned, and it ends in, I don't know, 10 days, something like that. And then my girlfriend and I are going to Italy. We're going for like 2.5 weeks, something like that. I've never been there, and neither has she. So we're really excited. So that's the big focus right now.
Amazing. Well, you created the kind of business that you were just talking about that affords you the ability to do that in terms of time, money, and freedom. So clearly you're walking your talk, and you get my full endorsement. So anybody
Oh,
out there
thank
who's
you.
watching, absolutely jump into this, make some comments, share it. You're going to learn so much. I mean, I know I've learned so much from you, and you will too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. For everybody
My
else,
pleasure.
yeah, you're not going to see me here next week because you're going to see me in San Diego next week. As you know, we have our live event coming up. We got 150 entrepreneurs registered. We believe there's going to be another 50 coming, and then it always happens. So there should be 200 entrepreneurs with us in Carlsbad next week. Starting we're 1 week away from Attract Customers Now Live. So for those of you who are signed up, I can't wait to see you there in person, give you a high five and a big hug, and we will see you next week. I'm Bret Gregory. Thank you so much. Namaste, everybody. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Bret.